Welcome back to the garage, guys. I didn't realize I had to get so far back with this camera on my phone, but I wanted to show you today. We got the Creativity Elf, which is a Core XY 3D printer, and I bought this to replace the Adimlab gantry. This was a $470 printer. The things that impressed me about it was it claims to have an all-metal hot end, and it's kind of a direct extruder, sort of. Well, it is a direct extruder, except that there's a small piece of PTFE tube in between. So this is the extruder. Pretty neat extruder. It's a gear reduction, nice extruder. But it's got this little PTFE tube that goes from the extruder to the hot end, which it looks like it's a E3. Well, it's not really a E3D. It's the typical. You can see the anodized aluminum heat break down in there. But I don't believe it's PTFE all the way down to the nozzle. It's just that short little piece up above. At least so far I haven't had any problems printing PETG. It's got dual cooling fans, one on each side of the head, which is pretty nice. It's got linear rails for the X and the Y. It's mounted up underneath here. Yeah. And it uses a VGA cable, which not real impressed with the cable management on this. I would like it to be stiffer and get up out of its way, because like you see here, if it gets down in here, well, it probably won't catch on it, but it could. I mean, the head could come over as far as it can and get bound up. But so far it's been working okay, and I can modify that. It comes with a glass plate with a coating on it. You see it's got a grid pattern there. And it's billed as a 300 by 300 by 350 millimeter build area. It's nicely constructed. I mean, it's sturdy, it's stiff, it's, you know, reasonable. It's got dual lead screws on the Z and just smooth rods, which is fine. It's got a nice base, touch screen, and fairly easy controls. It is running Marlin. Now, I've sped up the Z travel moves because it was so slow before. Acceleration is still a little bit, you can see it takes quite a ways to get it going. Let me go back, let me home this because it thinks it's at home. Let's home X and home Y. So it moves pretty good. That's at 300 millimeters travel rate. I haven't tried. I have tuned it up to 350, and I've been working on the accelerations, but that's decent speed. Let's go X minus. Yeah, it goes from 1 millimeter, 10 millimeters, or 0.1 millimeters. But that's all right. Most of it, I've got it hooked up to Octoprint. When I got the printer, it was all fine and good, but except for their quality control, it comes kind of pre-assembled. So their base is all pre-assembled. The big box And the top is all pre-assembled with the belts and everything. And you have to mount the hot end extruder assembly to the chassis, and then you have to install these the upright posts, the bed, all of that. So the only thing that was wrong was at the back of this. These are cast little corners here. The back two were missing, so I printed some plastic parts and that on another printer and got the thing assembled. Otherwise I would have been dead in the water. And the other thing that I didn't like was the bolts that hold the bed. They just gave you the bolts. And I'm not going to be able to see it, but well, yeah, you can see it. So in between the spring and the bed, I had to supply my own lock nuts. Otherwise, when you went to turn this leveling knob, the screw would have just spun in the hole. But other than that, everything was supplied, and it comes with insulation on the glass. It's a heated bed. I haven't seen how hot it would get, but I think it's 24 volts, so should do 100 degrees. And it would be an easy printer to put an enclosure, put a tent on the top and be able to print some decent materials. So the only other complaint that I have is when you home the printer. Let me put this in home again. Let's home X and Y. So when I home the printer, normally on a normal printer, Cartesian printer, that would be 00. On this, it's the max build volume. Unfortunately, when they built the Marlin firmware, they specified that position as 310, 310. So when I try to move the head to 00 after that, it comes to this front corner and hits because it's over traveling, because it's homed at the wrong position. So the workaround for that is to put in your start G code in your slicer, move to X10, Y10, do a G92, X0, Y0, and set the home position. So you have to physically move to that position, set a new 00. So that's one thing. And they don't have a good firmware package. It's all in Chinese, and there's no pin file and a bunch of other stuff. So I'll get it sorted out where there will be a good one, and when I get one, I'll post it. But that's one thing I ran into. Second thing I ran into, and maybe it's my assembly, might not have gotten these couplers low enough, or I didn't compress the little slack nuts there right, but I think it's bottoming out on the bearings, linear bearings that go up and down. Something's wrong, because I can only get 343 millimeters of Z out of it. But other than that, the printer is working great, and I'll go inside and get some prints off of it to show you what I've got so far. Okay, so we got some prints. This is a spiral gear print. I've never printed one of these things before. It is not a print in place print. It comes as 4 separate parts. So you've got the joiner, 2 of the joiner pieces and 2 of the spirals, but you snap it together basically, and you get this little gear mechanism. And they printed it in white, of course, or the sample filament that they sent me was white, but you can see the texture on the bottom from the build plate, and that's a decent looking print. I printed the little benchy, so this is a PLA benchy, and this is basic straight to, no tuning, no tuning to the profile or whatever, just my stock retractions. And it's a little bit stringy, but that's the stuff that they sent me, so that's their sample filament. This is PETG, a red PETG. Actually looks a bit better than the PLA one. And there are, you can see a little bit of jitter and stuff on the hull, but not bad. A little bit of the regular cooling issues, speed issues that you find in the Benchy, but a pretty nice little Benchy. Very nice. So stringy, but that one you can read. It says Prusa on the back. And then there was this little puppy dog, Nicky or Ricky or whatever. You can't, well, his lip right there, a little bit curly, but it's the underside. Not bad for cooling wise, I would say. Turned out a really nice little print. And another one that they did was this little bunny rabbit. Now he's got some artifacts a little bit, but not bad. And the other thing that attracted me to this printer is it's supposed to have 2208s or 2209 drivers for the X and Y, and it is pretty quiet. This little owl turned out real good in that sample PLA. Nice print. And then the ones that I've been doing for work, these are functional prints, nose cone protectors. So they're just, they're big. These are PETG, and they just fit on a taper to protect it. There's the bigger one. Oh, he's pretty large. So turned out decent. My filament got a little bit wet, so this one, the layers are, oops. It had been out for 2 weeks and the layers started to separate towards the end of the print. Sorry about my munched finger there. Anyway, it's not bad, but it could have been a little better. And that's all I got to say on the printer. It's my plug-in is coming loose. Anyway, there they are, and it's a decent printer for the price. I wouldn't hesitate to buy it again, but I've sent them a letter that they need to step up their quality control, because missing parts that prevent you from using it the day you get it is a real deal breaker.